Welcome all to video lectures and ISR initiative from Sivananda Sarma Memorial RV College. SSMRV College, one of the premier institutions run by prestigious RV group of institutions, has come up with a unique initiative to engage students at the time of this unforeseen medical emergency caused by corona outbreak. As a socially responsible institution, we would like to connect academically with the students to make good the losses caused. In this connection, I, Deepika L. of Department of BCom, has posted a video on the subject Business Regulations and the topic Environmental Protection Act 1986. Please watch the video till the end and like, share with your peer groups and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you. Business Regulation Unit 5 Environmental Protection Act 1986. Introduction. The Bhopal gas tragedy was a gas leak incident in India, considered one of the world's worst industrial disasters, which necessitated the Government of India to enact a comprehensive environmental legislation, including rules relating to storing, handling, and use of hazardous waste. Based on these rules, the Indian Parliament enacted Environment Protection Act 1986. The Environment Protection Act came into force on 19th November 1986 with the objective of protecting the environment from pollution. It lays down the standards of industrial operations and handling hazardous substances. It also deals with the prevention and control over multiple varieties of products creating danger to human well-being. The Constitution of India also provides for the protection of environment. Article 48A of the Constitution specifies that the state shall endeavour to protect and improve the environment and to safeguard the forests and wildlife of the country. Article 51A further provides that every citizen shall protect the environment. Definition of the Act. Environment, according to Section 2, subsection A, environment includes water, air, and land, and the interrelationship that exists among and between water, air, and land, and human beings, other living creatures, plants, microorganisms, and property. This definition is not exhaustive but an inclusive one. Environmental pollutant means any solid or gaseous substances present in such a concentration may be or tend to be injurious to environment. Paradoxically, this urge to grow and develop, which was initially uncontrolled, is now widely perceived to be threatening as it results in the depletion of both living and non-living natural resources and life support system. The air, water, land, living creatures as well as the environment in general is becoming polluted at an alarming rate that needs to be controlled and curbed as soon as possible. The 1986 Act was enacted in this spirit. Environmental pollution is the introduction of harmful materials caused by pollutants into the environment. Pollutants are the various impurities that have found their way into environment due to both human activity and natural causes, thus leading to pollution. There are three types of environmental pollutants. First, degradable pollutant, example domestic sewage, discarded vegetables. Second, slowly degradable pollutant, example DDT, pesticides, and plastics. Third, non-degradable pollutant, example toxic elements like lead or mercury and nuclear waste. Objectives of Environmental Pollution Act. The main objective of the Act was to provide the protection and improvement of environment and for matters concerned therewith. Other objectives are as follows. First, to take all the necessary measures for protecting quality of the environment. Second, to lay down standards for discharge of environmental pollutants. Third, to lay down procedures and safeguards for handling hazardous substances. Fourth, to lay down safeguards for prevention of accidents and take remedial measures in case of such accidents. Fifth, to constitute an authority for exercising powers. Sixth, the Act makes it obligatory for the person in charge of a place to inform the concerned authorities regarding any accidental discharge of any pollutant in excess of prescribed standards. Seventh, it prescribes stringent penalties for violation of the provision of the Act. Eighth, it also restricts areas in which any industries, operations, or processes may be carried out subject to certain safeguards. Ninth, it confers powers on persons to complain to courts regarding any violation of the provision of the Act. Environmental pollution is defined as the contamination of the physical and biological components of the earth or atmosphere system to such an extent that the normal environmental processes are adversely affected. There are different types of environmental pollution. First, water pollution. Water pollution is the contamination of water bodies like lakes, rivers, oceans, and groundwater. Water pollution occurs when pollutants are discharged directly or indirectly into water bodies without adequate treatment to remove harmful compounds. The effects of water pollution are death of aquatic animals. The main problem caused by water pollution is that it kills life that depends on the water bodies, like fish, crabs, birds, seagulls, dolphins, etc. Disruption of food chains, diseases caused by water pollution, disruption of ecosystem. How can we prevent water pollution? First, conserve water by turning off the tap. Don't throw paints and oil in water channels. Use environmental friendly household products such as washing powder, household cleaning agents, etc. Take great care not to overuse pesticides and fertilizers. Do not throw or litter into rivers, lakes, or oceans. Help clean up any litter you see on beaches or in rivers and lakes. Make sure it is safe to collect the litter and put it in nearby dustbin. Suspended solid particles and inorganic materials can be removed by the use of filters. Use of biological filters and processes can naturally degrade the organic waste materials. After above two steps, chemically additives are supplied to get rid of any leftover impurities. Air pollution. Air contains a mixture of various gases like oxygen, nitrogen, carbon dioxide, etc. Air pollution is the introduction into atmosphere of chemical particles or biological materials that cause discomfort, disease, or death to humans. Damage to other living organisms such as food crops, natural environment, or built environment. The major sources of air pollution are industrial, vehicular, and domestic emissions. The most common air pollutants in urban areas include sulphur dioxide, nitrogen oxide, and carbon monoxide, etc. Apart from this, the gases discharged from refrigerators, air conditioners, etc. are responsible for depletion of the ozone layer. The effects of air pollution are respiratory and heart problems, global warming, acid rain, effects on wildlife, depletion of ozone layer. Noise pollution. Frequent or prolonged exposure to loud noises is not only a nuisance but can cause damage to a person's physical and mental health. Noise is any unwanted sound that disrupts environmental equilibrium. A major source of noise is by motor vehicles, aircrafts, firecrackers, sirens, loudspeakers, and machinery. According to a survey conducted by the National Physical Laboratory, Delhi, Mumbai, and Kolkata are amongst the noisiest cities in the world. Noise pollution has harmful effects on the environment, humans, and animals. Some adverse effects of noise pollution on human health are hearing loss or hearing impairment, rise in blood pressure, cardiovascular health effects, increase in stress level, and decrease in efficiency and concentration, altered brain chemistry, increase in crime. With regular exposure to loud noise, the ability to read and learn decreases. Land pollution. When we first think of pollution, we often think of trash by the side of the road. This type of pollution is called the land pollution. Land pollution is anything that damages or contaminates the land. Deforestation, release of toxic substances on the land, throwing of unhygienic waste on earth, dumping of garbage, biomedical waste, etc., cause land pollution. Excessive use of pesticides is also a source of land pollution as this affects the potability of water. There are many reasons of land pollution, from the trash we throw away in our homes to waste produced at giant factories. Sometimes chemicals from the trash can contaminate the soil and eventually the groundwater we need for drinking. The, the land pollution is caused because of garbage, mining, farming, and the factories. Due to land pollution, the earth loses approximately 25 billion tons of valuable topsoil each year. Effects of land pollution: loss of forest, less vegetation, acid rain, greenhouse effect, global warming, extinction of species, biomagnifications. Solid waste pollution or solid pollution. Wastes are the materials that are not needed and are economically unusable without further processing. Solid waste includes agricultural waste, ashes, biomedical waste, body parts of dead animals, dry or wet garbage from domestic activities which may contain plastics, metals, woods, glass, paper, detergents, industrial waste, mining waste, etc. Effects of solid pollution: hurts the human respiratory system, causes problems to skin, causes cancer, harm or destroys ecosystem, causing water pollution and harms nature, animals. Food pollution. All living beings require food to obtain energy from which they carry on their daily activities. If the food consumed is polluted or adulterated, it will have injurious effects on the consumer's health. The pollution of food begins by using chemical fertilizers and various pesticides at different stages of plant growth. These chemicals directly or indirectly affect the quality of food and affects health of the consumers. Food also gets polluted during the processing, storage, packaging, and transportation. Food pollution can affect each of us by causing mild to severe food illness, or worse, contributing to or causing the development of serious health problems such as hormonal and metabolic problems or even serious types of cancer. Causes of food pollution. There are numerous causes of food pollution. Basically, any pollutant that comes in contact with food has the potential to pollute it. Various vegetables may get contaminated with toxic bacterial strains from irrigation water, groundwater, or soil, which may only be destroyed by processing the polluted food at high temperature. The fact that the plants become contaminated with pollutants from the environment comes from the ability of plants to extract environmental pollutants through their roots, along with water and nutrients. In the case of air pollutants, those usually enter plants also through roots after being first deposed on the ground with precipitation water. This is why some plants are actually used to remediate little to moderately polluted soil by extracting pollutants from soil. Thermal pollution. Temperature plays an important role in determining the conditions in which living organisms can survive. Any undesirable, harmful change in natural temperature disturbing the natural heat balance of the surroundings is called thermal pollution. The thermal pollution is caused by water from rivers and lakes is used for cooling in power stations. The water is returned to the river or lake at a higher temperature, which is known as thermal pollution. As the temperature of the water increases, the solubility of dissolved gases such as oxygen decreases. A lower concentration of dissolved oxygen in the water can harm aquatic organisms such as fish. Small chronic changes in the temperature can also adversely affect the reproductive system of the organisms and also make them more susceptible to disease. Cold water contains more oxygen than hot water, so increase in temperature also decrease the oxygen carrying capacity of water. In addition, raising the water temperature increases the decomposition rate of organic matter in water, which also depletes dissolved oxygen. These decreases in the oxygen content of the water occur at the same time that the metabolic rates of the aquatic organisms, which are dependent on sufficient oxygen supply, are rising because of the increasing temperature. The effects of thermal pollution are change dissolved oxygen, economic and environmental damage, decrease in productivity of the water body, change in migration time and pattern may be affected, death of the animals, production of heat shock, etc. Nuclear pollution. Nuclear pollution is produced by nuclear explosion, which are carried out for performing nuclear tests and which is further used for making nuclear weapons. Due to these explosions, about 15 to 25% of the radioactive particles enter into atmosphere. Once they enter the atmosphere, they continue to fall on Earth for several years. The best example is the Hiroshima Atomic Bombings. It affects almost all life forms in the surrounding environment. From planktons to human beings, nothing is spared. To be more specific, the radiation can cause mutations that lead to cancer, and the dose of radiation or the level of pollution determines lethality or how deadly it is. However, nuclear pollution is extremely hazardous in nature. Effects of nuclear pollution. Effects on living organisms, skin disease, damage or reproductive organs, cause abnormality in bone marrow, destroys retina of eyes, shortening of lifespan. General powers of central government to protect and improve environment. The powers conferred under Section 3 of the Act are as follows: to plan and execute a nationwide programs for the prevention and control and abatement of environmental pollution, to lay down standards for the quality of environment, to lay down standards for emission or discharge of environmental pollutants from various sources, to restrict areas in which any industries or operations or processes shall be carried out, to lay down procedures and safeguards for the prevention of accidents which may cause environmental pollution and also to take remedial measures for such accidents, to lay down procedures and safeguards for handling hazardous substances, to examine manufacturing process, material and substances which are likely to cause environmental pollution, to carry out and sponsor investigation and research relating to problems of environmental pollution. By exercising power, the central government will have a upper hand in controlling the negative effects of the pollutants which is causing a, a severe damage to the environment. By protecting so, we will be having an ecological balance by which we can have a better future for our generation and the next generation. Prohibition and restriction on location of industries. Industrialization, while important for the economic growth and development of society, can also be harmful to the environment. Amongst other things, industrial process can cause climate change, pollution to air, water, and soil, health issues, extinction of species, and more. So, to curb this negative effects of industrialization, the government has come up with certain restrictions on location of industries, and those are standards for quality of environment in its various aspects laid down for an area, the maximum allowable limits of concentration of various environmental pollutants, including noise for an area, The likely emission or discharge of environmental pollutants from an industry, process, or operation proposed to be prohibited or restricted. The topographic and climatic features of an area. The biological diversities of the area, which, in the opinion of the central government, needs to be preserved. These are some of the facts known about environment. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and like. Thank you.